let's record. And I'll go back to my chair. Let's get comfy. Hope you're warm. And let's just start with a little settling in, just easing the sitting bones down onto the surface beneath you, hands on the thighs. And let's start easing through the spine. So as you gently round the spine, let's take the hands towards the knees. So almost like you're kind of just finding a little movement there and finding a little opening. As you slide the heels of the hands towards you, you're going to lift and squeeze the shoulder blades behind you, but very slightly, just a little lift. Doesn't have to be huge. Rounding. Let's fit the breath into that. Let's inhale and open as you open the face. And exhale as you round the face towards the chest. So it's up to you how much movement you take through the neck. You might want to keep it still or just a tiny bit of movement. Lovely. Little warming up of the spine. And bring that all the way back to center. Let's take our lovely cherry pickers, rotating 5 on each side. So allowing a bit more movement each side and then rotating the other way. So thinking about taking this with the fingers, you know, let's spread the fingers, grab onto something, bring it around, spread them out again. So it's a whole upper body. I'm using the arm, whole body movement as well, and rotation. Maybe you can attach the breath into something around this too. Exhaling and inhaling. And when you've done your 5, come back to center and start the other side. Stretching, rotating, but remembering to include that whole arm. Get a bit of a swizzle on maybe. Maybe let the knees drop to one side and then the knees drop to the other side. If that feels comfortable. Otherwise, just keeping the feet nicely firm. That's how much movement you need to get warm this morning. And release and bring it back to center. When you're done, grab your cushion. Place it on your lap. Squeeze that cushion in towards the belly or blanket, whatever you've got. That looks good. And fall gently. So the softness of the blanket or cushion is coming up in towards the belly. And let's just gently fall forward. You can use your hands underneath your forehead just to support yourself. Support yourself to good. And then place the hands back on the knees and uncurl all the way back up. Lovely. Let's take that blanket down. We're going to draw the left knee into the chest. You can gently squeeze either behind the back of the leg or front of shin. Don't have to squeeze it too much. And then we're going to place it down and take it to the side. Now, if you've got a little bit more energy in you or you want to try and build some, let's stretch the arms up and then draw it in. It's entirely up to you. If you feel you can add that extra. If it's a little too much for shoulders, arms, or for how you're feeling, keep it low. And remember, you don't have to go around the front of the shin. Let's make it nice for the hip flexor, nice for the knee. Finding some movement there. Good. Lovely. One more each side. Right. And then bring it back to center. Lovely. And we'll take the arms out in front. So send them away, and shoulder retractions, just squeezing the shoulder blades towards each other. So we're working with that place that's underneath the shoulder blades, and if those are your shoulder blades and they work like that, so we're working with that muscle around the inside edge. So squeezing that back. It's not the arms doing the work here. Squeeze it back. So, if you feel quite strong and you want to do a little bit more ever, you might put a couple of tins of baked beans or a bottle of water that weighs the same in each hand. Or if you've got some very convenient 1 kilo, 2 kilo weights, you might just add for a little bit of something extra. Squeeze. And then let them go forward if you want. You can just squeeze and release if that's better. Or you can really open out between the shoulder blades and let the fingertips slide. And then let's drop that. And roll the shoulders. And pick up the left arm, take it across the body. Let's take a little stretch out of the shoulder, upper arm. You can even look towards that shoulder. Pausing, taking a breath. Lovely. And release. Bring it down. And then the other side, just seeing how that feels. Turning towards the shoulder. Take a breath. And release. Bring it back. Let's move everything out the way so you, well, for me, so you can stand up, plant the feet, come up to standing, move the chair a little bit, or make space for yourself. We're going to use the cushion or blanket, whatever you had, or if you've got a block in a minute. So let's just plant those feet a little bit wider than hip distance. And let's find a little bit of movement around the feet. So it's not the hips doing the movement, it's the movement around the feet. Let the knees bend. Let it feel like you're kind of underwater. There's a bit of a sway going on. Perhaps you're a bit of seaweed. There's a practice we sometimes do when we have a group, in a workshop or on a retreat or something, and one person just kind of stands and then someone will come and just gently tap them, and you just sort of see where that takes you, and the kind of recoil that the body just naturally brings itself back to this state of standing, and then someone might tap you somewhere else, maybe the back of the leg, and you'll just feel like you're kind of moving underwater. I think it's called the seaweed exercise. Let's glide the other way around. So again, just finding the sense that, you've got the tides against you. You've got this body of water. It's just moving around you. So it can't be kind of a massively fast process. It's just, you can feel almost like the resistance of the air, of gravity, move through it. Good. And let's bring that back to center and let's move those shoulders again. So you can use a pen or something light in your palm and just moving it around, glasses case, whatever you've got. Just a little bit of movement around the shoulders. Yeah. It doesn't have to be huge, just a little sort of stretch and release. Particularly good for rotator cuffs, sore shoulders. Remember, you're not holding onto the item on your hand. It can fall at any given moment. You don't have to go both directions. It doesn't have to be symmetrical. It's just a movement, just what feels right. So go back to that idea of pleasure. What feels nice in the moment. Okay, let's bring that back and plant the other hand on. You can start slow, just wrist, elbow, moving around. And again, see if it becomes nice and pleasurable when you've lost that idea that it matters if you drop it. See how it becomes A nice, smooth, soothing, perhaps, practice to take. Okay, let's bring that back to center, and we'll place that beside you. Good. Okay, so can you grab hold of the chair? I'm just going to get a little bit of hip movement. So soften those knees. Just standing with the weight on the chair, we'll just take one leg and just kind of rotate the knee out to the side and around back to the front. So just a little bit out to the side and around back to the front. Now, if that gets you in a hip, let me know. And again, if you've got something in the hip, it might be better just to take it out to the side and in, and then up to the front and back a couple of times. Okay, so just a little movement around the hip, whatever you can manage, and bring it back to center, and we'll take it to the side. So notice if one side was just kind of a bit easier to stand on, just warming up through that hip. So we're just taking it forward and around. We don't have to take it back the other way unless you feel your hips are working really, really well. Let's take it a little bit forward if it's sore in the hip, and out to the side. Just finding a tiny bit of comfortable movement. Okay. Bring it back to center, hands on the chair or back of the chair or bookcase, wherever you are. Then come into your downward facing dog. Lengthen yourself out. Soften those knees. Really bend the knees a little bit so you can lengthen the tailbone away from you. It's that action of lengthening the tailbone. Kind of picks the bottom up and asks the hamstrings to lengthen a little bit more. It also just gives a really nice all over body stretch without having the legs, kind of the knees locked out. Okay, round the spine. Curl yourself in. Walk it in. Good, and open it up at the front. Step the right foot back. Good. Lift and open the chest. Now slightly draw that tailbone under so the hip bones lift gently towards the rib cage. Good. If you're comfortable picking one arm up, take it back. We're going to keep facing the front, and we're going to just windmill the arm so the other arm comes up now. So we're in a warrior one, so we're straight forward or slightly out to the side. So just a little bit of movement around those arms. Now just seeing if one arm comes a bit closer to the ear than the other. And if the tail and the hips kind of wiggle around a bit, you want to try and keep the core really strong so the pelvis stays stable. And then bring them all back. Step it forward, and we'll step the other one back. Okay, so actually I'll go this way. So we'll just pick one arm up, and then the other arm. And if you're finding it's too difficult to balance, then just keep one arm down, bring it back, and take the other arm. There's just lovely movement through shoulders. Okay. And bring that all the way back. And step it forward. Okay, you can use the chair for support if you need it. Legs a little bit wider. I'm going to take my right arm up to the sky. I'm going to take a little stretch over. Now again, try not to let the hips move. You've got the squeeze slightly with the glutes, so the hips stay central. Lengthen it over. Now, good. Lovely. You can use the chair to push up. What I want to avoid is the lower back. So if you're feeling strong, you want to push to the floor to use your thighs and your glutes to power you up. Otherwise, use the chair. Lift it up. And release. So flip over sides. I'm just going to move my chair so that stretch it up with the other arm. Step, engage the glutes so that the hips don't push away. We're moving through the upper part of the body. That's it. We don't want to challenge the lower back. Okay. Good. Lovely. Reach those fingers away. Super. And engage or push to rise yourself up. Good. Hands on the shoulders. Soften the knees a little bit. And let's get that lovely hug of the body. A little roll around. Enjoy that nice sort of holding yourself and moving gently. Great. Just one arm will be on top of the other. Just switch that across. A few more rocks around. That's it. Good. And bring that back all the way to center. Roll the shoulders. Bring yourself back to your chair. Okay, come and sit down. So just a short movement today, but we'll take the left leg over the right and you'll move to the left side. If you're able to put your arm behind the chair, do, otherwise catch hold of the side of the chair. Just making sure you're not shoving the knees away, you're not kind of sending the knees so you're getting too much torsion in the spine. It's really nice to look at the front, open that back left shoulder, and then turn the head to meet. So that the neck doesn't get a terrible twist that feels uncomfortable, it doesn't come out great. Just opening, so this is upper back. Can you feel this a little bit between the shoulders? Lovely, send it towards the front. And undo and switch the legs. Arm goes behind, round. Open the shoulder first, and then rotate the head. Keep the eyes on the horizon. Good, take a couple of breaths there. Good. And exhale. Release that all the way back to the front. Undo the legs. Good. Little movement through the spine. We're going to take just a little bit of back extension. So lifting up. So again, just slightly tap the head elbow underneath so that you've got this engagement and length through the lower back. Take the arms out to cactus. Good. If this gets tiring, just drop the arms a little bit, okay? We're going to inhale. And as you exhale, just gently draw the belly towards the spine so it feels pretty strong and engaged, just as much as possible. And on the next breath, so keeping that gentle lift in the belly. So feel like as you draw the belly back, it feels like it opens out the front of the chest. We're going to slide the right arm up and then down and left arm. And down. So the minute this gets a little too much, just, bring the elbows down. Don't have to take them out so far. We're just going to take a couple. A little bit of back extension work. So we're using those muscles around the shoulder blades, around the middle back. You might be able to feel them working. Take your awareness there. But if you keep that in lovely engagement through the core, the minute, we should be taking it away from the shoulders. If you're finding it's coming into shoulders and neck, just release, take a few breaths. Start again. Last one. Right side. And then down. That's it. Good. Roll. Lovely. Just ease that out between the shoulder blades. Good. And move it gently around. So we're going to just try some breathing work. I'm going to add a little new one in today that we've done, but I'm going to be a bit more focused about it. And then we'll go to our other breath work that we've done before. So I want you to think about this idea of being underwater again. So do you remember we've talked about the jellyfish breath? I'm going to bring the jellyfish breath further down. So we've often done it kind of a little bit higher of up. We want to find it lower down in the abdomen. So as we take an inhale, you want to very gently draw the belly back into the spine. Just a tiny, you don't even have to squeeze it. It's just a sensation of a bit more tension there, which is, as you're inhaling, that's quite unusual because you think you've got to expand the belly. Well, we're expanding through the rib cage. And then as you've drawn, so I'm talking rather a lot, so you're going to have to keep breathing to this. But you also want to get this slight lift up and away from the chair, not a little sort of with the pelvic floor, just a lift with the whole of the bottom up away, the whole of that kind of base of the pelvic bowl, up and away from the chest. So it feels like you're lifting the crown of the head a little bit. And as you exhale, think about this kind of expansion and spreading out. So that becomes your jellyfish. And again, inhale, you kind of get this going back and slightly. And as you exhale, and again. So it feels like the lungs are really filling up a little bit all the way down to the bottom. And don't worry if you can't feel either of the kind of gentle engagements. Because I'm trying to avoid the idea of, oh, squeeze the pelvic floor release, squeeze the pelvic floor release. That's not really what we're doing. What we're doing is we're just bringing the abdomen into this, so the whole kind of unit, the whole area becomes part of the breath. So as you inhale, gently drawing back and very slight sort of engagement, lifting up, sort of a sense of intra-abdominal pressure increasing so that the chest has to expand, the lungs have to really work all the way down. And then as you exhale, this slight floating. You know, I found this breath, particularly why I'm bringing it in, because I have found this really useful over the past 6 weeks, having had a cold literally for the entire time. And I found it really useful to visualize breathing into right down into the base of my lungs, so that I know they're still working. And I found that really comforting, that they're actually working. Because to begin with, when it was really bad, I couldn't get it down. I was really congested and I really couldn't. It felt weak, it felt tired, I couldn't bother, you know. And actually, the more we do, I really think it lifts your mood. I think it's really helpful. There's another breath called the breath of joy, which we do a lot of that. But this is similar. This is similar in that it's using the same muscles, but we don't have to get the shoulders in. And there is definitely scientific work around. The better you're breathing, the better your mood. And that helps because, you know, when you go out for a walk, you're doing the exercise, lifts the mood. Same thing. Okay, let's leave that and come back to just your normal breath. Just a gentle flow. And notice how the minute we talk about the normal breath, we try and create a breath. So let that happen. Let a few just, you know, big old breaths happen. Notice how it feels now without having to draw it in and lift it up at all. Notice how it feels a bit further down. Does it feel like the abdominal, the core area? It's had quite a nice excursion today without feeling like you've not done, you know, you haven't had to do 10,000 squeezes, whatever they used to call them. Which, by the way, not very good for you. Okay, let's take your awareness to that point. Nostril, upper lip. Just sensing the passage of the air. Now, if you'd like to bring in, I'm going to talk you through it, but if you would rather just stay with this, stay with this, stay with this sensation in both nostrils. But as I'm going to offer an alternative, as you start to get really in tune with that upper lip nostril breathing, is to start being aware of the breath on the left side. So it feels like there's this kind of tide ebbing and flowing on the left side of the body. That's the right side, just gets really quiet. Yeah, bring that back gently to the center, almost to both nostrils again if you can. And perhaps take your time, it can take a little bit of time to switch over to the right nostril. And as you start switching over to the right nostril, Feeling that right side fill and expand. Notice if it's a different sensation of floating or being swept along by the tide. And then slowly bring that back to both. Let's just settle for a minute. That sensation at the tip of the nostrils, upper lip. Making sure you feel comfortable, relaxed. Any point the breath starts to get a bit tight, just let it go. And make your way back to it when you're ready. Those distractions that come and go, just see if you can let them wash over you. Notice them for what they are, just distractions, trying to lure you away. And as we come to the end of this practice, perhaps wonder to yourself if it might be possible to do this short practice or some of it, either the whole session of this 30-minute practice or just this little breathing segment once a day over the next couple of weeks till we meet again. Maybe it's possible to just add a 5 minutes out of your busy day, particularly over the Christmas period, to invite a little bit of focused breathing, to notice the distractions, to notice the things that are upsetting, because those tend to be the main distractions, all the things you feel the busyness comes in. So just noticing if there might be a possibility to add this without creating tension around it, and how much when you do start to add it as a regular practice, it becomes a necessity for all the busyness. Thank you so much for joining. When you're ready, bring yourself around and go into